How did you come into this cybersecurity? I want to know from this journey from this system engineer profile.
So initially I was more into the infrastructure. Parallelly I was also looking at the compliance portfolio. Now I am a successful global CIO.
Cybersecurity emerging in the future. आने वाले time में what would be the role of cybersecurity?
AI and automation will drive. I just put the prompt, it comes in just right away in front of me. But it does not mean that the jobs will go away.
AI, if coming to the picture, so it won't be this much of damage on the cybersecurity.
This is also making attackers more powerful. New student who is just learning AI also knows how to make a malware with the help of AI.
Which is better, AI or cybersecurity? Hello everyone, welcome back. So I'm here with another expert in cybersecurity, and I would call it an expert of the experts of cybersecurity, Satnam Singh. So Satnam ji, welcome to this podcast from NG. So सबसे पहले I'm curious to know about your experience in this domain. तो आप please बताइए कुछ अपने बारे में.
So basically, I'm heading the overall infrastructure, cybersecurity as well as compliance piece for Innova Solution at this moment. I have more than 2 decades of experience. So I started my journey back in 2003 as I would say, desktop engineer.
Seriously?
Yeah. I mean, you tell me. I mean, what do you guess at what grade the salary package was offered that time in 2003?
At 2003 would be 15,000, 14,000.
No, I just started at $2,000 for a month, and which is like a 60-70 rupees, which generally gives to the kid nowadays, at least for the small kids for the expenses. Yeah. So, but my motto was to learn something, do some practical, joining in a corporate organization, not to, I was not running behind the money. It was just to how I can get the practical exposure versus the certifications I had done that time, 2003. Then I also awarded with Great Managers Award given by Economics Time in 2021.
Wow.
Recently, I was also published on the Microsoft social handles, considering the cybersecurity contribution I have done towards Microsoft.
Good to hear.
Yeah. And also recently, I was also awarded with the CXO award as well.
Many congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, so have done a lot of towards the cybersecurity community. I'm a member of the CIO club as well, which actually keeps you always updated. So I have an experience in, you take any name considering the manufacturing, healthcare, finance, airline, software, BPO, KPO industry. And it is not about I switch the company. Actually, I manage those clients being within the same company. That's how you get the lot of exposure. And specifically in the gaming, it was one of the toughest client for us because even it is a downtime for a second, it's a millions of loss for the company. So journey has been always still ongoing. I am still doing my best, still the way I used to work the day one. So that's always keep me motivated to seize and try something new.
The way you actually explaining it seems like you are a motivated guy and you're really doing something different. So I'm curious कि यार you started as a desktop engineer back then 2003. मतलब उस टाइम मुझे नहीं लगता कोई easy job easily होते होंगे desktop engineer मिलना आसान होता होगा. तो still मतलब salaries ज़्यादा नहीं होती थी क्या उस टाइम IT में?
No, the salary used to be like, as you said, 15,000, 20,000 in 2003 was like 20 years back, right? My placement was in such a way that, you're going to start as a trainee. We cannot hire you at that moment. And I took that chance, I just wanted to learn something.
I think this is the ideal situation for any success guy to share. So how did you come into this cybersecurity? I want to know from this your journey from this the system engineer profile.
Yeah, so later on I moved on to one of the organization based out of Noida. So worked for a client for a couple of times and then switched to another organization which was based out in Gurgaon. And there actually was the actual exposure for me where I worked in States for a couple of years as well as in Europe. I also worked a couple of years. So almost 4 years I spent in States and 3 years in Europe managing the client infrastructure. So initially I was more into the infrastructure, but parallelly I was also looking at the compliance portfolio for the clients itself. So clients were pretty happy, okay, because in out of India there's always running short of the the right talent.
Right talent, yes.
Right, and that's how they outsource to either India or to any Asia Pacific countries. So That time I took that as a challenge, because as I told you, learning is still, something which is very important for each individual, and my objective is every day you should learn. Today still I am learning from this podcast, right?
Yeah.
So every day you should something learn, nothing to do with your studies or your courses, but something new. And but the new generation, maybe I would like to give a message that, irrespective of in whichever field you are, please try to learn something new every day.
Every day.
That will always make you motivated. Financial rewards will always be there, right?
Right.
Later on, not now. The way I, in my situation, it was in 2003, right?
Exactly.
But now I am a successful global CIO for the organization, which is
I think this is called an achievement. So the line you have said na, that you keep learning every day. I think this is the bestest mantra of the success ever I heard, implemented on myself, listening from someone already successful. So that is really makes sense to everyone. जो भी इसको सुन रहा है, and everyone. कैसा लगता है अभी you finally reach out to that level, आज you call yourself as a VP of a company.
no. Let me tell you, still we are all human, right? In this entire world, I consider as a same desktop engineer. Even I the level of interaction I have it. Even if I go to my office, I still interact with my people one to one. So each and every individual in the team know me personally, right? Even I share my thoughts, the progress, these the project status. Even I have a global team status every day. Why? It is because everybody should be connected with the leaders. If there is a gap between the leadership, then people will not be able to deliver it on time. Secondly, I never believe into the micromanagement. This is what people like about it. If you don't do the get into the micromanagement and have the complete transparency, that makes you really successful leader.
Now, Satnamji, like the candidates or the aspirants, those are already working. They are into the cyber. I have seen a lot of people are confused, and I believe that you are the right person to answer them. Let's say they are into the cyber or somewhere into the network or database somewhere. Now they are confused कि यार I don't know, I'm stuck. मैं आगे कैसे जाऊँ? सो यू हैव क्रॉस दैट पर्टिकुलर लेवल कि उनको क्या एडवाइस दोगे कि यार अभी उनके साथ कन्फ्यूजन रहती है, मैं ये सर्टिफिकेशन कर लूँ, कंपनी स्पॉन्सर कर रही है, कोई भी सर्टिफिकेशन निकाल लूँ. मैंने देखा है वो थोड़ा सा गोल लेस हो जाते हैं. एक लेवल आ जाता है ना, यू आर अर्निंग अ सर्टेन पैकेज, EMI जा रही है, सब कुछ हो रहा है, स्विच करना एक लेवल, एक एंड ऑफ द डे यही बचता है स्विच करने. और उसमें भी क्या है, वो दे गेट स्टक्स एट अ पर्टिकुलर लेवल कि यार अब ग्रोथ नहीं हो रही है. तो उसमें से काफ़ी लोग वांट्स टू मूव इनटू द साइबर सिक्योरिटी, और मैंने देखा है वो एकदम इंप्रेस हो जाते हैं इन्फो वाले पार्ट से, ऑडिटर वाले पार्ट से, तो वो सीसा या फिर CSSP करना शुरू कर देते हैं. सो आप उनको क्या एडवाइस दोगे?
See, my advice would be, don't run after the certifications, run after and gain the knowledge. I think you must have heard some, dialogue in Three Idiots की ज्ञान ले, right? पैसे के पीछे मत भाग,
Right.
right? Something like that, right? I can't recall the exact dialogue, but still the same thing is also, applicable in our life. Get into the more practical things versus the certifications, because once you face the interview, and the moment you are sitting there answering the question, the certification just eligibility to get you into the for a job for the eligibility perspective. There are certain companies which they keep asking for, the person must be certified with ABC certifications, whether it's a CISP, CISA or CEH. But I have seen so many cybersecurity professionals in real world, they don't have a good foundation, but they call them as a themselves as a CISSP. So it doesn't make any sense. And to run I run a $3 billion organization with the 50,000 employment globally.
Yes.
It's not a joke, right? You really need to have the right set of cybersecurity controls, compliances in place for managed and unmanaged devices, so that your organization always remains safe. And attacks comes from all the nowadays, if I talk about the type of attacks like cyber wars, those are nation sponsored cyber criminals who are funded by the nations to make the weaken down the economic system, right, of the other
Right.
countries. Then those are ransomware attacks. Then we have the edge devices attacks. So there's a number of attacks happening, and you really need to make sure that you always stay up to date with the penetration management for the devices, for the application, for the operating system. Vulnerability assessment is must. Then the regular audits are must. as well as the software patching updates. 0 day vulnerability is always must, because when I start my day, is a typical day, even it's been not just 8 parts, 8 hours passed, I have to still get in touch with my team to understand what is the 0 day vulnerability is there, because I stay connected. Sometimes they are not aware, I get aware, okay, there's a 0 day vulnerability. How we can ensure that on the same day we are through and are done with the patch management on the same day, versus it gets exploited into our system. So I mean, for a cybersecurity, I would say it's like a chief of army who always try to protect the border. In here, it's just the border is your organization where you work.
What do you think? Why most of the people very curious to go into the cybersecurity?
They feel it's a lot of money there,
Exactly.
to be honest. But whatever you do with your follow your passion, do your complete justice, follow give your 100%. Money is everywhere. I mean, as I said, the financial will be rewarded once you are good at your
Good
work.
at it. So, what do you recommend them? कि ठीक है cyber are they able to come into the cyber security? Is that a good idea to come into the cyber security, or they start searching something else?
No, it is up to them. See, whatever they do, even if they are doing databases, networking, maybe CCNA, CCNP, or this operating system administration, or anything, whether it's a penetration testing. Cybersecurity is overall a vast area,
Right.
different verticals. The vulnerability assessment is a different vertical. The protection is a different vertical. Endpoint security is a different one.
Right.
There are n number of verticals within the cybersecurity. So the candidate really need to focus where I really need to be go. Basically, maybe the candidate could be at network. Then the network security is the one piece where the person can focus. If the candidate is good at the endpoints, then endpoint also has the EDR, MDR, and XDR technologies, and maybe few of the CISOs only know that BDR is also about to come, which is the browser detection and response. Maybe I think most of the time you access your application through browser itself,
Yes.
rather accessing Outlook, Gmail, anything, right, that you open up through the browsers, and before it lands to the endpoint, it automatically will detect. But that's a upcoming future. People even doesn't know.
Right.
So endpoint also is another altogether a specialization from the cybersecurity
Cyber
perspective.
security, it's one
Yeah.
of the vertical which I usually explain. So what you said actually, I know you're not aware. So I used to give the online webinars for the cyber security, and I'm running a training institute where I'm offering courses, few courses only, and with a specialization that if you do the courses from my place, it's a complete customized courses. So I'll give you the job assurance. I'll help you to get place, because I'm from running, already have a real time experience. I'm from the real world. I know what a company need. So when we talk about the cybersecurity, when I talk about the cybersecurity, so in the cybersecurity, I usually speak out. I talked about to start. If you want to really want to reach out to the good package, start from the basic, learn network. What is a network? The basic things like infrastructure, basically, and then go to the this network security part, the firewalls, understand the policies, and slowly and gradually. After that, I simply ended my conversation by saying that cybersecurity itself is vast. Once you have the experience into the network security, you will understand, okay, this is my cup of tea. I can go into the endpoint, I can go into the vulnerable somewhere, or the risk management, or I should go to the auditor part. I think this is something that you can decide later on according to yourself.
And this is absolutely true, because if I talk about my experience, I also have a dedicated teams. I cannot ask a network guy to get into the server administration and secure the server environment. Same, the server guy, I cannot ask to you start protecting the endpoint. And on top of it, there is a one more field which I forgot to update you, which is the identity management, where we call about the privilege identity management, privilege access management, and on top of it is JIT, we call it just-in-time access as well. And still, organization is not enough matured to be more focused on the overall life cycle of the onboarding and offboarding process. So if you in the right workflow with the right set of tools, considering the right ROI in place, then you have the right cybersecurity posture in place for the organization.
Great, perfect. So suggest me something that if I really want to deliver a good cybersecurity in the market, you're hiring, you're at a certain level that you're building team. What do you suggest me that I should do that thing into the with the candidates in preparing them, or to just giving them the exposure? So they are fit into the requirement, and you brings that requirement into the market.
Yeah. So see, cybersecurity, there are different aspects. As we talked about the network security, the guy who had done CCNA, CCNB, they understand the basics, right? And they will understand their part, how to protect the network part, but they will not understand how to protect the either the Linux operating system, because the guy will not have any exposure on Linux, right? Similar for the servers or any other operating system. So for the cybersecurity, I think the initial as an analyst, they really need to understand what are the vulnerability assessment, what basically vulnerability itself is in the system, how it is going to impact the entire ecosystem of the organization. Then on top of it, we call it as an analyst or the engineer who understand what kind of alerts are landing into your SIM tool, because
Right.
as a cybersecurity you really need to have a SOC in place where you actually see what kind of the alerts you are actually seeing, which are the behavior is abnormal, the traffic is unusual coming from a certain IP or country. So this is how the typical cybersecurity analysts start. I mean, immediately, nobody can just go there and start writing the playbook. Okay, I will automate something. If something there is a high alert in the system, it will automatically isolate. That requires an experience, and that happens with the justification and the discussion with the CISO as well, right? If there is a high alert in the system, what action it actually takes. So those are called playbooks. So if somebody is pretty good in coding, definitely that guy can definitely try and writing the playbooks on the cybersecurity side.
Perfect. So we have, like, if someone is already started into the SOC and now stuck into the SOC, because there are a lot of people, because they're monitoring, they're managing, and now they want to upgrade themselves. So what is your recommendation that if they want to grow, they want to move upper level to the upgrade themselves, what would be the suggestion for them?
So they should be good at the the problem solving skills. Analytical skills always must be good. Communication is always must. And from the technology perspective, they should definitely either go for CISSP certification. So at least it will give you all flavor of how it is being the organization is covered up from the cybersecurity angles, and there are different angles. But again, if the person is already working somewhere, to try to take more responsibilities, not just limited to one area. Maybe, okay, I'm just a network guy, I will just look after network guy. Because if you give you my example, I started as a desktop engineer,
Right.
but I look after everything in the organization, even to a certain when I need to negotiate with the attackers when the data goes into deep web and dark web. So this is how my
Is
responsibility goes there, and I have to
is
discuss
it?
it. Yeah.
It's a lot of things you have done in this
in
past
the in
years.
the yeah. So this really makes me always motivated.
That's so, interesting. It's like your job is really interesting. It's what you have done. So yes, at end of the day, they have to be motivated. They have to explore new directions. Then only they can come out from that particular part. And
And the other mantra was, until you don't, delegating your responsibilities to your, the teammates, then there is no career path for them. The moment I started growing myself in the organization, I started delegating my responsibility to my, individuals who are pretty good at either network servers. So they also grew in their certain verticals.
by looking at your experience, what do you see if we talk about the IT? So is there any specific that a candidate can plan to go into the IT at this particular domain? I should start. Let's take an example. I know you. The reply is like depending on your background. If a candidate is not BTech in CS or in the IT, coming from BA, BCom, BSc or BCA kind of thing, like although they are partially IT.
I am also a BC and MC.
I'm also a BCA candidate. So at least we save money of our
Yeah.
parents not to
Right.
invest in BTech. So what do you recommend them, like if they are coming from the other, like non-IT background? So what do you recommend where they should start into the IT? What they can best into the IT?
See, at least understand the basic concepts, not just limited to a single technology as a whole. Because as a leader, even if I look out some candidate in the market, I first of all I look at the attitude of a candidate, whether the candidate has a learning attitude or it is just stick to a certain technology. Because myself, over the period of time, I switched out from one technology to another technology, and that's how the overall vast experience I have it. So technology, whichever the candidate likes, whether it's network servers or managing Linux operating system or maybe the cybersecurity, candidate can start doing the practicals and getting more exposure, start the job, and it will come eventually. But if the learning attitude is not there over the period of time, the
Right.
candidate will stuck into that domain only.
That's correct. It is happening actually a lot of places. With the wide experience in this, let's talk about the cyber security. Let's in that cyber security. Uh, you have seen a lot of students coming, a lot of candidates coming for the interview. So, as per your perspective, what are the do and don'ts in this interview kind of thing for these candidates? Any suggestion for them?
Do's and don'ts, I would say don't first, because don't be over smart, because the candidate who is sitting in the other side is already experienced and gone through with many stages in the this organization and corporate culture. So sometimes what happens, nowadays what I have seen during the interview, they feel that the other the person doesn't know anything. And even if you ask them just a very foundation related question, that is also probably unanswered most of
Right.
the time. And the only thing which we probably ask, if it is related to network, we probably just more focus on the foundation.
Right.
We don't ask fancy questions until unless it is a client requirement, or we ask them to make a the architecture, and that depending on the role also, right? But if it is a basic requirement, just we only focus on the foundational questions, so that at least we understand, okay, this pod is working on this ABC numbers, this is how the query is generated, how the traffic is flowing. If the person understands the basic flow, it is as same as the grammar in English, right?
Right.
So if the person understand, can make any wonder in the world.
Exactly. This is precisely true. Any interview you remember, कि यार ऐसा हुआ था, बहुत स्टूपिड सी चीज़ हो गई थी इंटरव्यू के अंदर, एनीथिंग दैट यू वांट टू शेयर सो वी कैन मेक देम अवेयर कि हाँ यार ऐसा मत करो, दीज पीपल हैव इन्वेस्टेड लॉट ऑफ टाइम इन द कंपनी, दे आर बेटर देन यू एज कम्पेयर टू दी स्मार्टनेस.
At this moment, I don't think so. There was one interview happened in the COVID, and that guy. But this is actually a funny incident. He just wearing a shirt with the tie. The moment he thought interviews ended up with me, he was just wearing his shorts that time. And that it used to be during the COVID itself, but nothing to do with the technology.
I
Uh,
think, I
and
think
and just because of that reason, I hired that guy. Actually, he had done a pretty good job during the interview, but that was cherry on the top.
I think this is story. Any interviewer who has taken the interviews into the COVID having this story with them. मेरे साथ same हो चुका है. इंटरव्यू के टाइम में बीच में एंड द कैंडिडेट मूव एंड द अपर पार्ट वाज लाइक प्रिसाइजली एकदम तैयार था और यू कांट स्टॉप योर सेल्फ है ना, तो आई एम अ गाय, मैं रोक भी नहीं पाता, अब कंट्रोल नहीं कर पाता बिना बोले ना, तो मैंने उसको जवाब दिया, मैंने कहा नेक्स्ट टाइम मैचिंग पहनना. आई डोंट वांट टू मिस दैट मोमेंट. तो नहीं, ऐसा हो जाता है सीरियसली. तो अभी जो नए कैंडिडेट आप, बिकॉज यू हैव सीन 2 decades, तो मैं सिंपली बोलूँ ना, 2 generations देखी हैं आपने. इट्स चेंज इन, आजकल तो क्या हो रहा है 6-7 years के गैप में ही, ठीक है, पहले तो था 80s के बच्चे, 90s के, अब तो जेनजी ये वो, इतना ड्रास्टिक चेंज आता जा रहा है ना, वो 5 to 7 years में चेंज आ रहा है. तो व्हाट चेंजेस यू हैव सीन इन दी जॉब सीकर्स नाउ डेज इफ यू कंपेयर टू दी 90s और 2000 टाइम्स के जो थे बॉर्न थे, और उनके बाद अभी जेनजी की बात करूँ या फिर अभी जो न्यू स्विच वाले और जॉब सीकर, दोनों में क्या आप व्हाट डिफरेंस यू हैव सीन?
Biggest difference is they are a quick switcher, and that actually makes a more problematic area for them, and they are creating for themselves itself, because until unless you don't stick to a one organization, you won't get the opportunity. If you just keep moving on, which is good for the financial perspective, you keep moving on, but the trust which you have been building with the previous your supervisor or the teammates, and the responsibility you are doing, anyhow, if you think you can do something better in another area, you can ask your manager, superiors, who supervisor, whosoever it is, and they can definitely give you another a chance to as a kind of a internal job posting, and you can switch to another job. But nowadays people still keep switching the job just for the sake of the money is always there, as I told you. If you have the right talent, the financial always rewarded at the end.
थोड़ा ऐसा लगता है पेशेंस, लाइक दे आर रनिंग आउट ऑफ द पेशेंस कि नहीं यार अभी से ही बहुत अच्छा पैकेज करना है, शायद अपने पीयर ग्रुप में कंपटीशन हो गया है.
One of the, the guy I will not take his name. So he actually, the moment he took his one salary, the first salary, basically it was his first salary. And it was pretty good salary for him, right? So you won't believe, I think he was earning almost 4 lakhs per month that time, right?
अच्छा.
And he just came to me the moment he got his first salary. Sir, I bought this ABC bike and I also bought iPhone and I bought this MacBook. Manga, I mean, did you spend all 4 lakhs in one shot? Yeah, sir, I spent all 4 lakhs in one shot. So this is maybe a type of generation we are seeing nowadays, but yeah, that is also that matters the priority of an individuals.
एज पर योर लाइन्स ना, आई डू अंडरस्टैंड, आई एम रनिंग अ कंपनी, और मुझे समझ में आता है इफ़ अ पर्सन स्टे बैक फॉर अ लॉन्ग, तो आई थिंक वो एक पार्ट बन जाता है एक प्रोसेस का, एक जर्नी का. यू आर द एग्जाम्पल, सेम एग्जाम्पल, यू आर वर्किंग इन अ कंपनी सिंस 9 years, उससे भी पहले आपने बताया दैट यू स्पेंड 8 years. तो आई थिंक दैट ब्रिंग्स द वैल्यूज.
Let me tell you, when I started this company, I mean, I joined in 2015, and we were just only as a $300 million as an organization.
Okay.
The journey over the last 9 years from 300 million to 3 billion. I mean, you can imagine the growth
exactly.
from 300 million to $3 billion. The acquisitions, mergers we had done, the integrations, migration, to ensure that the cybersecurity remain intact. That time I was not managing the cybersecurity,
Acha.
right? I started managing almost 3 years back. But even if the 6 years back when we were doing, all the process policies, the compliances for the organization, there it was, that time it was not enough mature, right, in 2015. But the moment we have all the compliances in place, you take any ISO 27000, HIPAA, SOC 2, the environmental related certifications we have in place. So that also gives the lot of confidence to your clients, what kind of organization you are dealing with, and that's how you get more business.
राइट. तो मतलब बाय लुकिंग एट दिस प्रेजेंट टाइम, इफ वी टॉक अबाउट द साइबर सिक्योरिटी इमर्जिंग इन द फ्यूचर, तो क्या दिख रहा है कि आने वाले टाइम में व्हाट वुड बी द रोल ऑफ साइबर सिक्योरिटी?
See, AI and automation will drive.
एग्जैक्टली, आई एम
But
कमिंग टू दैट पार्ट.
AI will does not mean that it will take away all the jobs, but it will isn't out all the the at least the basic function, the jobs and the day-to-day work performed by the analyst. So let us say if I go today and I ask my team, okay, what were the latest vulnerabilities do you see in the console and the critical in the last 12 hours or 8 hours, they actually maybe might take 3 hours, 2 hours to populate the rest of the information. But with the help of AI, I don't need analysis. I just put the prompt, it comes in just right away in front of me. But it does not mean that the jobs will go away. Analysts will remain there to troubleshoot further, but at least this basic set of information, or maybe let us say when I talk about the automation, let us say there is a critical alert, the unusual traffic is coming from unsourced source, then maybe it can immediately isolate the system. You don't require a analyst sitting there 24/7 to take an action. So those kind of playbooks automation you can do to streamline the overall cybersecurity operation. So this is gonna be there.
So it's like AI, if coming to the picture, so it won't be this much of damage on the cyber security.
It's gonna help a lot, but I would say when you said damage word, the thing is actually this is also making attackers more powerful, because even a new student who is just learning AI also knows how to make a malware with the help of AI.
Exactly.
So that is equally dangerous for us as well.
Same, I was about to ask, like, so if cybersecurity, if AI person can manage the cyber part, so they have the access in both
See,
ways.
cyber attackers always one step ahead from us.
Exactly. They do understand if AI is resolving this problem, so easily they can go into they can use the same thing to the all the vulnerable and other part they can manage of from this thing. So like if we talk about like if someone is looking for the good option as per your experience, which is better, AI or cyber security?
Both will go, I think, hand in hand. And I mean, I will not hesitate. Still, I do have experience on AI also.
Acha.
So that depends which part of AI you are using. I do on my day-to-day basis. On my phone, I use AI on day-to-day basis, writing my email back to my clients, my internal stakeholders. So AI, it's up to you. How do you really want to leverage? But at the same time, it is a risk to the organization, because how you are actually protecting the data within the organization. There are certain people doesn't understand what are the risks associated. That's why the security awareness training also equally important for the organization.
Right. So it's a lot of information that we have received from you and a lot of doubts that has been discussed, which is always there in the mind, like for me and the people who are watching us. So any message you want to give for this candidates looking for the cyber security? So you just kept in the mind with your experience. I don't think so. Previously they met someone this much of experience sitting and talking about this.
No, I think be it fresher or anybody who's trying into cybersecurity, be focused and be ready for the the changes, because in IT every day there is a new technology.
Right.
So the mantra is the key to success is keep learning. If you stop learning, then probably you will not be able to succeed in the life.
True, absolutely correct. So here we have Satnam, who has just shared his experience in this domain, especially the cyber security and the way he's talk about the real time scenarios, the exposure in the market, and end of the day he always talk about कि यार boss, you must have that interest, पेशेंस करना है, आपको इंटरेस्टेड रहना है और उसको स्लो बाय स्लो लेके चलना है, स्टेप बाय स्टेप लेके चलना है और एक गोल बना के रखना है अपना कि हमें बढ़ना है, आगे बढ़ना है। और एक जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट बात इन्होंने डिस्कस की है कि यार कीप लर्निंग वाली, कि आई थिंक it's be it with the Satnam or Nitin or anyone, अगर if you are at a certain level in your life, if you do not take it seriously, हर एक दिन नया चीज़ है सीखने को, from the 5-year kid to the 50 years of person, so मतलब there are a lot of things to learn, so that won't help you to just grow more and more. So thank you for watching us and we'll keep bringing more and more content for you. Stay connected and don't forget to like us, comment if you want anything add here. Thank you.